Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me? Welcome back to RC with Adam. Is this thing working? Is this thing even on? I don't know. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Please let me know how the audio is. Let me know if it's too loud. I don't have any way of monitoring it right now, so you are the sound man. Avea FPV, hello. Yes, go have dinner, but I'll be here. I think we'll be here until about noon, answering your beginner RC questions. So if you're just joining me, hello, my name is Adam. This is RC with Adam, and today we're live. We're talking about beginner RC questions that you may have as a beginner, whether it's airplanes or quadcopters. Whatever it is, even if it seems like a super dumb question, ask it. If you have the question, ask the question related to RC stuff. Who else we got? Who else we got in the chat here? Wow, a bunch of people. Hello, Tech Electronics, the surviving team. Hi. Platine 51 FPV. Hello. Of course, Captain John. How's it going, Captain John? I have not been on Simple Planes, by the way, for a while now. So you've probably made some cool stuff, and I haven't seen it yet. So sorry about that. I'll have to catch up. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night wherever you are in the world. Here it's morning. So grab yourself a beverage, like coffee or water or whatever you drink in the morning. Or evening, I suppose. And we're going to get started here. We're going to jump right in. I'm going to try and keep up with the chat, but to be honest with you guys, the whole streaming thing is new to me, so I'm still getting used to all this stuff, trying to manage the screens and all that sort of thing. So, but if this works out, I'd like to make this sort of like a regular thing. Okay. And you know something funny about live streaming? I guess videos in general. One of the biggest fears, my biggest fears, and I think a lot of people's, is like the dead space, like the silence. And so you tend to want to just keep talking, kind of like I'm doing right now. So we're just going to get the dead space out of the way, and I'm going to read your comments. Okay. All right. So since you guys are here, I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to answer your comments first in the chat, and then we'll get to the ones that people left in the announcement video that I made earlier. So let's begin with, let's see, Wrong Way FPV says, I can't get my LEDs working. Betaflight sucks in that aspect. I actually have zero experience programming LEDs with Betaflight, so I really can't help you there. But I'm sure, hopefully, someone maybe in the chat can. That would be great. But yeah, I don't have any quadcopters that have programmable LEDs. That would be kind of cool. Avea FPV asks how I'm doing. I'm doing pretty good. It's a nice day. I'm hanging out with you guys, so I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing? Let's see. Plantain 51 FPE asks, how do you get your video ideas? I just kind of think them up. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I'm like, where did that come from? And I'm like, I don't know. But usually, I would say the overarching theme is to try and make helpful videos. So I would say, yeah, that. And so like if I have a problem with something and I need to solve something, then I figure you might as well. So that's kind of how I think about it, like that. Audio is good. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Because I don't want you guys to have to like turn it way up and then like you play a video and then you get blasted out. You know what I'm saying? Platine FPV says in Germany it is 4:15. Cool. Good afternoon to you. Okay. Oregon. Hey, cool. Oregon. So we got somebody from Oregon. Dark Gaming asks, hey, can I use a winch with a receiver plug, normally using a 3-position switch? I'm not sure what you mean there. Do you mean like a winch? Like, is this like a model for like construction equipment, or is that supposed to be switch? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, KK Brothers asks, please suggest a transmitter and receiver for a long-range flying drone. Again, unfortunately, I can't really help in that regard. It depends on how long of range you're talking about. I really don't have a lot of experience with long-range type of stuff, like at all, to be honest with you. like the farthest I've flown out is like maybe close to a mile, or not even that. So I can't really speak to that aspect. Probably who's that long range guy? Nurk FPV. He does a lot of long range stuff, so you might check out his videos. Wrong Way FPV says Crossfire. Yeah, I guess Crossfire. But again, I can't really say like, yeah, that's good or that's bad, because I just don't know. So I just be making stuff up, you know, which I can do. I could do that for you if you want, but I don't think you probably don't want that. So let's get this out of the way. So Sanskar Budhatalki asks, what are the cheapest drone kit that are good? So I think that question resonates with a lot of people. Like, what is the cheapest drone kit that's good? Well, you know, you always have the balance between good and cheap, and which one do you want more of? And I think a bunch of other people, my apologies if I don't mention you specifically, but had that similar question that you left a comment about in the other video, which I appreciate. So, and actually, somebody responded to that comment that I just read, and is Ruleitao says, there you go. It's all you need right here, and it's a link to the FPV Know-It-All, which, if you're have been in the hobby, you know that is Joshua Bardwell's website, FPV Know-It-All, and he has lists of all kinds of FPV equipment. Basically, it's basically like a shopping list type of thing. So let's go over there just to show you guys, just to show you what's on here. Give him a little bit of love. This is his website. I hope you guys can see that. I'm trying to get the whole screen like size thing right, but in any case, so we can take a look here at what he's got going on. In terms of, now, I don't think there were really kits here, but let's see what he has for ready to fly and bind and fly drones. I mean, you guys can check this out yourself, but this is what he has on here. And he's got the Wizard X220 and the Aris X220, which is interesting because I haven't seen much about the Aris X220. That might be cool to check out. And then he also has the Emax Tiny Hawk Ready to Fly bundle, which I do think that's a great idea. And then plug and play and bind and fly options right here. Those look pretty cool. I haven't like researched his suggestions thoroughly. But and then we do have top of the line 3-inch, so obviously that wouldn't be like a cheap type of thing. And then Cinewhoops and HD micros. So those are his kind of top suggestions, which is interesting. That, I mean, obviously, if you just put like a huge list of quadcopters, that's not very helpful because excuse me, because you don't narrow anything down for people. But it is interesting that just these select few that he's put on this list, and he's like the quad reviewer guy. Well, aside from UAV Futures. Anyway, so you can check that out. Let me leave it like right there or something like that. Okay. Tech Electronics asks, which is the best flight controller? Oh, you know what? Hang on. I'm sorry. I took you to to Bardwell's website, but I guess so. To sum up that thought of what is a good cheap drone kit, if we go to Banggood here on Banggood, we do have the Tyro 99 DIY version, the Tyro 79 DIY version, and the 210. And is that also DIY version? Some of these are not DIY versions, I think. It's kind of hard to tell with the wording. Now, so personally, if I was like, ooh, I want to get a kit for I think the question was just a drone kit, so not a specific one, but I would probably get which one is it? Probably this one. Does this say DIY kit? DIY kit, yeah. Yeah, so this is a DIY kit. It's a little kind of a strange design from what I've seen of it, but it's a 2.5 inch toothpick, which I don't know. I mean, it is tiny, but I don't know if it would necessarily fall into the toothpick size, which is like really tiny. That would be like this guy down here, this one. And I don't have like a toothpick like this. I really want to get one. So maybe I would get this as like a kit and then build that. Or we could do a build video maybe. I don't know. I mean, people have already done that, but it might be fun. And a good excuse to buy that. Anyway, so yeah, so there are some options for good cheap kits. It seems like the Eachine kits are pretty popular, but let us know in the chat or in the comments of this video if like what suggestions you would have, because honestly I haven't been using my radar to scan for the good cheap kits. And I'm about to go off on a tangent about something else, but first let me get back to the chat here. So, okay, Tech Electronics asks, which is the best flight controller? I don't know. I don't know. Man, that sounds like I'm really not very helpful today. But what is the best flight controller? It depends on what you want to use it for. Again, like if you watch my videos, I'm not really a tech, like super detailed kind of guy. So whether it has this processor or that processor or this many UART ports or whatever, I don't really care. So I'm probably not the right person to ask that question. Because honestly, I could not even really begin to like name a suggestion, to be honest with you. But somebody does have a suggestion, and right there, flight controllers. And so I love how I'm just hijacking his well, I'm it's free advertising, I guess, but kind of hijacking Bardwell's work here. So here we go. So cheapest I'd recommend this Bardwell, the J Bardwell F4AIO. It's funny that his is actually the cheapest that he would recommend. So let's find out. Let's go to Race Day Quads. Let's see how much that costs at Race Day Quads. $35. And if you bundle it, it's $84.98 with the ESC stack. So there you go. I mean, if Bardwell designed it, it's probably good. But again, to be honest, I don't have a huge opinion about that. Tanmay Sharma asks, bro, tell me the difference between FlySky i6X and FlySky TH9X. Now, my understanding is that the TH9X is old, I think. Like, I don't know if they, I mean, do they still make it? I'm not sure. I know you can find it in places. Actually, let's just go to, where do we go? Well, let's go start a new tab. We're just going to start a whole bunch of tabs here. So FlySky TH, what is it, the 9X, TH9X. Oh, they may not have it here, actually. Okay, they do not have it here. All right, let's go to, sometimes my keyboard just stops working. But I guess that's what happens when you pull it out of the trash and try to reuse it. Very strange. I have to hold it upright for it to work. So that's cool. I'll have to look at that later. Oh, man. Does it really? It really... Oh, okay. There we go. Wow. There we go. Okay. So, FlySky TH9X. Let's see what we get here. So, we should have FlySky. Let's open that one. And then let's open... yeah, Amazon. Let's go to Amazon. See what Amazon got for us. All right. So, okay. So the difference between the TH9X. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted from your actual question. The TH9X is, my understanding, it's a little bit older. It has a whole bunch of switches, but it's only, I think, only 8 channels. And I mean, man, look at that molding. Wow. Did they put enough, little mold thingies on that transmitter? I think so. Pardon me. One thing though is that it does have this little bay for a replaceable RF transmitter module. Okay, so, all right, sorry, let me give you the short version. The short version is, if you fly, if you want to do a lot of precision flying, no, that's not the right word. Like, if you want, basically, you're going to have more options, I guess. Yeah, it kind of looks like you're going to have more options with the TH9X. And let's see. So it has 8 channels default, but it can be updated to 14 channels with an external RF module. Well, okay, that is something, but you kind of have to ask yourself, like, do you really need the extra stuff? I'm not sure what the price difference is on these things. Let's look that up right now, and we'll say FlySky TH9X. No, we want FlySky. There we go. All right. And so the i6X, is that what you're asking? The i6 or the i6? Oh, you're asking just about the i6. Oh, well, okay. Well, here's what I would say is, don't buy if you're going to buy the i6, just buy the i6X. That's what I would say. Yeah. But, do they even have it? That's kind of it. Is that the only one that they have? Yeah, I don't know. It seems like at least on Amazon and Banggood, which are places that usually have all the FlySky stuff, they don't seem to really have many options for the TH9X. So anyway, obviously with the TH9X, you're going to have more switches. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like 6 switches, and then like 3 knobs, which like, oh my gosh, like that's a lot. So if you want a lot of switches and a lot of knobs, and you want the option to put in one of those external RF modules, which I'm not sure if that would be the same as for Crossfire, then if you want all that stuff, go with the TH9X. But if you just want to fly quadcopters, you want to fly 4-channel airplanes, and you don't plan on needing to either use like a longer range type of module or multi protocol module, then just go with the i6. But if you go with the i6 and you can get an i6X, I would go with the i6X, because the i6X is just like the i6, but it has 10 channels. And now that I think about it, well, I'm pretty sure it's just like the i6X. Anyway, I'm rambling now. You got me started on that one. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. Okay. Man, if it takes me that long to answer one question, we're going to be here a while. Oh man. Okay, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to make sure I answer all your questions in the chat here, because that's why we're here. I'm here for you. And you in the back too. Steve. All right. Okay. In my mind asks, how do I set up a crossover RX fly sky? I can't get it to work with beta FPV 12 amp V2. I need help. LOL. Crossover RX. I did have some issues with the crossover receivers. Like, it can be kind of tricky. Beta FPV. I think I'm going to need a little bit more clarification on that as far as the exact model of quadcopter and the model of receiver. But check out my video on my videos on the crossover RX receivers, because I think I cover that pretty well. It's possible you might need to update the firmware, or it's possible that you need to invert the S-bus signal, or it's possible that it's soldered to the wrong pad, because you have to use S-bus and not I-bus, if I'm correct. But check out those videos and let me know if that helps. Oh, Wrong Way FPV says, I have Crossfire on all of my rigs. You'll run out of video before you lose RX signal. That's a very good point, Wrong Way, because people are like, yeah, I want to fly far, or more specifically, it's like if you have to choose between, 2 radios where one flies, 2 miles and one will fly 10 miles, but you're only ever going to fly a mile out, then there's not really any advantage to having the longer radio distance, radio connection, especially if your video feed won't go as far. So that's not always the case, but sometimes. Let us continue. Oh, okay. Dark Gaming says, RC off-road winch. There's one that I saw online that comes with a receiver plug. Can I use it normally without a winch controller, or just plug it straight into the receiver and use the 3-position switch? I don't know. I'm guessing that, so like a winch, I'm not sure what a winch controller would be normally, but I'm guessing that yes, you could just probably plug it into a receiver, because it's probably just like a servo type of deal that's incorporated into the winch. And what you might do, since it's a winch, I guess with a winch you would want it to like start polling or stop polling. Oh, I see what you're saying, because you want it to like start or stop that way. Yeah, yep, 3-position switch. Probably. I feel like I'm probably behind in the chat. You guys are probably probably answering all these questions. Platine 51 FPV says, "Have you ever flown the iFlight Nazgul?" I'm assuming you're talking to me, by the way. I don't. You might be talking to somebody else in the chat. I don't know, but I'm going to answer the question anyway. Have you ever flown the iFlight Nazgul 5? And if so, how did it fly? No, I haven't. So I can't answer that one. But I'm going to assume that it flew great. Matt. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm just gonna butcher everybody's name today. Matches Westhoff asks, can you connect any type of flight controller to any type of ESC? No. But I'm not totally sure about the specific details, like, because there are ESCs for brushed motors, and then there are ESCs for brushless motors. And then I think some flight controllers, it has to be compatible with the ESC, like firmware protocol stuff. Somebody more technically savvy with the ESCs and all that stuff can probably help me out there. But like technically no, but probably if you're looking to if you want to buy like a 5-inch. An ESC that would be used on a 5-inch quadcopter typically, and you buy a flight controller that is typically used on a 5-inch quadcopter, and they've both been made within like the past few years, then I'm going to say they're going to be compatible. But just as far as, just to hedge my bets, no, they're not always compatible. Luca Jandun says, hello. Where are you in the world? Man, I'm way behind on this chat, but I appreciate you guys being here. The surviving team asks, do you have a camera to advise me? I take it you mean, do I have a suggestion for an FPV camera? Well, when I built my budget basher, I really liked the Foxeer Mini Predator Mini. But I'm going to defer again to suggestions that Joshua Bardwell has suggested. And so let's see right here, cameras. And I know I'm totally taking the easy way out by just going to its website and suggesting these things. But honestly, and the reason why is because like I really just don't come across new tech very often. I mean, if you've seen my videos, like I'm always reusing old stuff that probably should not be reused, but I make it work somehow. So when it comes to like the latest and greatest technology, no, I'm not exactly the guy to ask about that. But he does say the cheapest worth having is the Foxeer Aero Micro Pro, and the best, or the worst, I guess, is the Runcam Micro Eagle. I've heard about the Runcam Micro Eagles, or even, what is it, the Owl, that has like really good low light capability. That's pretty cool. Anyway, you can check that out. I'm not gonna waste your time, or I want to get to everybody else's questions as well. Don't want to leave you guys hanging. Where did I leave off? Okay. Jarvis NG says, hey, is a 9-inch frame good for FPV? Watching from India. Hello. Is a 9-inch frame? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's it depends on what you want to do with it. If you're looking for like maybe like a longer range platform, or you want more flight time, or you just want something bigger, maybe to carry a larger payload or whatever, then yeah, that would be good. But if you want something that's like small and easily carryable and good for flying in tight spaces, then no. But if a 9-inch frame is all that you have, yeah, you can absolutely use that thing for FPV. You just got to put all the other stuff on top of it. Let's see here. What do we have? Route her. Jose Luis Monte says, "Hi there, Adam." Hi there, Jose. Or it might be Joe's, since I'm butchering everybody's name today. I have an original 86 Tamiya Monster Beetle I would like to restore. I do not have the original controller, though. The question is, can I buy an RC radio now that works with the original receiver? I'm going to say no. But I haven't been alive that long, so if it's, from 86, I wasn't around then, and I'm not familiar with the 86 stuff. So could you buy one? Could you find one? Yes. Is it going to be the same as like a Fly Sky? I'm going to say no. Because I guess if it was 86, it'd be like all analog and stuff. And now things are like digital or something. So yeah, we're going to go with that. How do you protect your GoPro? And if so, how? Oh, do I protect my GoPro? Right, and if so, how? That's a good question. Well, as you can see in that the most recent video about the 3D printed propeller hubs, which like nobody watched, and it's a super awesome video, so you should go watch it. Anyway, as you can see in there, because we got some really cool slow-mo shots, I just like had the GoPro strapped to the quadcopter, and it actually came out at one point. So I don't really have, or at least at that point, I didn't really have any type of like protection for it, but I do use a ND filter for sure. But I broke one when I was crashing that thing around in that video. So I need to get a new camera butter ND filter, and usually what I'll do is put like an ND4 on the GoPro lens, and then just have that as like the kind of the standard, just have it on there all the time, like a lens protector. But I do have some other ND filters. So that's like to protect the lens. And actually I'm just going to get a lens protector as well from Camera Butter. If I need to use it for like lower lighting, and I don't want the sunglasses on the quadcopter. Also, to protect it, I just 3D printed, well, just a little while ago. I haven't gotten to use it yet, but I 3D printed a GoPro camera mount that I found on Thingiverse, and I printed that with SaneSmart TPU. So I'll be using that, and I guess it doesn't really protect it necessarily, but it should keep it on the quadcopter as opposed to how it was in the previous video. So that's what I do there. And the funny thing, just a funny little thing for you. I was thinking about using my session, my GoPro session for risky kind of flying, like with the propeller hubs, and but then I was like, well, they don't make the session anymore, and I just got the Hero 8, and I got like the Best Buy insurance stuff on it, so I should use the Hero 8. Well, I mean, because it looks amazing too, but I should use that because if I break the session, I can't get another session, or I could, but they don't make them anymore. It's a Twiglet Beta FPV V2 board. Twiglet, what a hilarious name. Let's look that up. Beta FPV Twiglet. That's a great name. All right, Beta FPV. Yeah, let's look it up right here. All right, can you guys see that okay? I think you can. Ooh, 5% off. Oh, that's just the frame though. We want the whole thing. Twig series. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. Board. The board. Okay. You're talking. Okay. I got you. You're talking about the board. So, brushed. Wait. Is that brushed or brushless? Let's find out. We'll find out. Wait a minute. Aha. Okay, sorry. I had forgotten your question. How do you set up crossover? Crossover RX, Fly Sky, can't get it to work, beta FPV board. So crossover. Okay. Is this a, I guess it probably wouldn't be brushed. Toothpick, we're getting close. Am I getting close? Am I looking at the right thing? Because I can't find it. I see toothpick. Let me just search that because So beta FPV Twiglet 12 amp. My intermittent keyboard again. There we go. Beta FPV Twiglet 12 amp flight controller. Is this it? Is this the one? Okay. So much silence. Okay, so it's a Twiglet Beta FPV V2 board. This kind of looks like it. Is this a V? This looks like the V2. Is this correct? Please tell me. Am I catching up in the? I'm trying to figure out where I am. JRB says, "Hey Adam, hey JR. Huckleberry FPV just joined. Hello, or joined at some point in the recent past. Hello, Huckleberry. I should probably read the comments in order instead of from the bottom to the top. That would make things it'd make a lot more sense. Darius Dragoda, hello, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. So, all right. I'm trying to think here. Is this in my mind? Let me know. Is this the correct board you're talking about? I'm not sure if you can put links in the chat or not. You might not be able to, but here we go. This is the good stuff right here. This is what we're looking for. So could I just please have like a manual? Can I get a manual comparison? F4. Did you say it was F4? No, I don't think you did. No. All right. Sorry if this is boring to other people. That's my other huge fear, is boring people when we're doing like a live stream, but I guess we're just gonna get over a bunch of fears today, friends. And this is kind of good because if you're new to the whole RC troubleshooting thing, this can kind of show you what I would do to troubleshoot. So like this person is asking, how do you connect the crossover RX? Now the thing is, if you're having problems connecting something, can I zoom in here? Oh wow, there we go. Enhance. All right. So if you're having problems connecting something that, or if something is not working, it could be the connection, or it could be all the computery technical stuff in Betaflight. So, shooty booty. So here we have, yeah. So let's see, RX1, RX2, TX1, TX2. Let me make sure that I cover this question. Really quick, Aryan Kumar asks, which is better for beginners, i6X or the i10? I'm going to say the i6X. And I'm still trying to figure this out. But it's hard to troubleshoot stuff when people are watching me. So that's the thing. That's why I'm like going super slow, you know what I'm saying? But that's okay, because we're just hanging out. We're having a good time. We're having a good time. All right. Okay, in my mind. Tell me more in my mind. Tell me more about your setup, because here's the thing. You could say, this is what I have, and this, this, and it doesn't work, or whatever. But wait, what am I doing? I'm doing the wrong thing. Hang on, I'm getting confused here. I'm clicking on the wrong window. Wait, I just lost connection. Oh man. Okay, it's my first day. Okay? My first day. What I meant to do is click on this window and try and zoom out a little bit, but I gotta shake my keyboard again. I've got to shake my keyboard to get it to do what I want. There we go. Okay. Wow. All right, let me just try and give you like the basic, the simple answer, I guess. If you're having problems connecting it, it could be that it's on the wrong pad. If it's on the RX1 pad, try it on the RX2 pad. Pretty much, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be either one of those pads. It's either going to be the RX1 or the RX2. Now, if we go over to what is it called? Crossover RX. Receivers, because if you type in crossover RX, it's like a car or something. Crossover-rx.com. Oh, look at that awesome video there. Oh man, I'll bet that's a good one. Wow, should watch that later. Here we have right there, actually. Yes. So it uses, we can see here, it uses, now see here it says RC data input, S bus reverse. Can you see that? Let me increase the size. Maybe you still can't see it, but it says RC data input, S bus reversed. I've lost connection again. I did not realize that would be such a big problem. So what that means is that you might need to go into the CLI and Betaflight, the command line interface, and I showed it in the video, but I can't remember at the moment how to reverse it. But I'm sure that you'll be able to find out, or some super helpful person in the chat will be able to help us out. So I hope that answers that question, but let me know if it doesn't. But I want to try and answer everybody's question. All right. Okay. Okay. Aha! Here's a good question. ESSIS. asks how do you know the appropriate ESC for various motors that are not labeled? That's a great question. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It depends. Like it depends on kind of like the type of motor. Like if you know that it's a motor intended for like a quadcopter, like a small-ish quadcopter, then probably like 30 amps or something. I mean, I wish I had a better answer, because it sounds like a really dumb answer to just be like, oh, I don't know, just guess, But if I had a motor that was not labeled, somebody said, hey, here's a motor, I'd be like, let me think about this. And I would probably, like, if it was a larger size motor, like if it was large enough where I thought like, okay, this is for an airplane, then I would probably use at least like a 20 amp ESC, 20 or 30 amp ESC. I mean, with ESCs, having basically the penalty for having a too large or too high amp rating of an ESC is that it weighs more, because it's like a larger ESC typically, and it might cost more as well. So if you're not sure, you could hedge your bets and get a larger ESC than you would think that it might need. I mean, other ways of doing this would be like you could do an amp draw test. Like you could put the thing on a bench and see how many amps it would draw using, amp testing stuff. An amp meter or maybe even, something like that. Testing equipment, basically. That would involve testing equipment. And then you could maybe even get like a what do you call it? A digital tachometer, to measure the RPM and kind of go from there. But I feel like that would probably be like way too much work for the effort if you just happen to have a motor that's not labeled. So that is that's what I got for now. But it's a good question, though. That is a good question. Oh, also, if it comes with a propeller, like if it comes as like a package, because I know sometimes if you buy like a cheap motor, it might come with a propeller. I mean, it could be wrong. They could be totally wrong about the right propeller it uses, but you can kind of get an idea. Like if it uses a 5-inch, okay, actually, no, I take that back. I totally take that back. That doesn't make any sense. Never mind, because it depends on the type of motor for the type of propeller, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it will draw more or less. Like you could have a 10-inch propeller drawing as many amps as a 5-inch propeller, but it just depends on the type of propeller and motor and stuff, etc. Anyway, I'm gonna move on from that, because I'm just trying to save myself, but I just don't have a super great answer for you there. Are Eco 2207 motors with a 40 amp ESC a good match? Maybe. Yeah. Oh man. All right. So let's see. So whenever I get questions like this and I don't know the answer, what I would probably do is I would say I would look up Emax 2207, and I realized like you could do exactly the same thing. So it just, it makes me seem smart, but I'm just doing what you could do as well. Emax 2207 Eco motor. Man. Eco motor. There we go. That would be, well, let's go here, then we'll find it. How's everybody doing? Are you guys still awake? You still hanging out? I hope so. I'm trying to be thorough here. Trying to help you guys. What are we looking at here? 2207. Well, you didn't say the KV, but let's look at this one. Wow, $12. That's so cool, man. Motors are so cheap now. That is just great. And yet I still am using super old cruddy motors for some reason. All right, so 2207. So right here, they should give some test numbers here. So what do we have? Specifications. Okay, those are the specs. Wow. Okay, I understand now why you asked the question. Probably because you went to this website like I am right now, and you're like, why aren't there any numbers there? And that is a good question. Like, why aren't there any numbers there for the amp rating? Emax 2207 Eco Motor amps. I don't know. Let's try that. 2206. Maybe this one has that. Oh, it's $12. Wow. Do they? No, unless I'm missing it, they still don't have it. Okay. All right. Well, that makes me look kind of dumb. That's okay though. So yeah. All right. So I understand why you asked that question. Yes. I'm gonna say yes. That is a good match. And here's the thing, because with nowadays, I say this like I'm old and I've been doing this for a super long time, which I haven't. But nowadays, like if you get a 30 amp ESC or a 40 versus a 40 amp ESC, there's not going to be that much of a difference in terms of cost and size and weight. So it's kind of like, why not just go with the high amperage or high amperage rating ESC for sure. That's what I would say. So generally, I would say go for more over less. And if you want to do that with like 6S, I don't know, because I don't have any experience with 6S quadcopters. Oh, and then look, somebody answered it. Oh man, I'm so late. I'm so slow on this chat thing. Excellent. But I'll read it out for you guys. Platine 51 FPV says, yes, the Eco 2207 motors are great. 40 amp ESC are also great, but I would recommend the Xing. I think it's pronounced Xing, or it's Zing or Xing. E 2207 motor, 1800 kV for 6S and 2750 kV for 4S. So look at that. That's a good recommendation right there. That sounds way more intelligent than my response. So good on you. That's great. JRB says, you're the king of FlySky i6X videos. Well, thank you. Thank you. I like to think that I am. I mean, it's intentional. And I said, I want to be the king of FlySky videos. And so that's what I set out to do. And I've got a whole bunch more coming at you. Like a whole bunch. We're going to have a lot more for the rest of this month, as well as next month, July. Well, and like a lot on the i6S as well. So if you guys fly the i6S, that'll be great for you guys. And if you're wondering, should I buy the i6S or the i6X? The simple answer is, if you pretty much only fly quads, go ahead and get the i6S. If you fly quads and planes, or especially planes, buy the i6X, basically. But we'll talk more about that specifically in a specific video, talking about the two differences. Alberto Zabala da Rosa says, hello, Adam. Hello, Alberto. Glad you could be here. All right, motor talk. Okay. Talking about motors and stuff. Super cool. Martins Bognavos says, do you think about what do you think about RC airplanes? Well, my friend, I think a lot about RC airplanes. I mean, that's what I started on. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm just a quad guy. No. I mean, where is it? Over there. I got planes in the background, right behind me. So I like airplanes. Look at that. Check out. Look at all these planes I got. And I'm all for planes as well. It's a very different experience, different type of discipline. Flying with airplanes versus quadcopters. In fact, I'm going to be making a video about airplanes versus quadcopters, which seems like a stupidly simple concept, but if you're totally new to the whole RC thing, you might not have any clue like the differences between quadcopters and airplanes, aside from one has wings and the other one has, well, it has wings, but they just spin around a whole bunch and, you know, that sort of thing. So I think airplanes are great. I think they're fun. I think they're great to fly line of sight. You can fly them. I would say you can learn to fly them more easily than a quadcopter. And I would say what's cool about airplanes is that there's a much more like a visual to airplanes. You know, it's like a big wingspan with a tail and all this stuff, and it looks, you know, you can get it to look good, or even if it's like trash, it still looks cool, just because it's not just like a little black dot, you know, flying around in the air like an angry hornet or something. So I like airplanes. I like them. I like them very much. Fantastic airplanes. Okay, next question. Hello, I have a FlySky Paladin and have trouble binding a FlySky R4P. Could anyone help? And I noticed you said anyone, which would be not me, because you probably know that I don't have a FlySky Paladin. The FlySky Paladin, let's take a look at that stuff really fast, because it's fun. Where'd it go? Here we go. Hey, there we go. All right, so look at that. That's actually one of their newest ones. It's the newest. It's pretty pricey by my standards. I think it's around $300. So you get a lot of like features and stuff. I mean, you got all kinds of bells and whistles and maybe actual bells and whistles. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. You got switches. Wait, can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Okay, cool. You've got you got switches, you got knobs, you got this and that, you got a radio bay thing. And now here's the big thing about this new line of FlySky stuff, like with the Paladin, the PL18, is it uses where'd it go? It uses a different radio technology right there. Pardon me. So it has AFHDS3, plus it has support for external RF modules. So AFHDS is the FlySky radio protocol, and that was like the original one, and then they had AFHDS2, or maybe it went straight to the 2A or something, and that's what the i6 series uses. And you can actually see this right. Well, wait, let's get some more shots. Oh, they don't have a lot of shots of that thing. Oh well. So you can see here they show the whole family of radios. So you have AFHDS, AFHDS2A, which is backwards compatible with AFHDS, and then you have AFHDS3, which I'm pretty sure is not backwards compatible with any of these, which I think is a real bummer. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. I haven't gone super in depth into this, but if I am wrong, please let me know in the comments. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I wish you hadn't have done that, FlySky. Or in any case, if you do use the AFHDS3, it's supposed to be like a better, stronger, faster radio signal. So that is kind of cool that they came out with that though. Okay, I don't know if I know the answer to this one, but Pork and Cheese asks, my RC boat has a motherboard and used to be a 40 megahertz. I think it's a megahertz. I upgraded the transmitter and receiver to FlySky 2.4 gigahertz. I can put output to ppm, but will I have problems using 2.4 gigahertz with the motherboard? And do I need some sort of adapter between the receiver and the motherboard? I don't know. I'm not sure. But hopefully one of you guys can help. I try to be straight with you guys, like try to not make up too many answers to questions that you have, because I know that's not really helpful if somebody's like, well, yeah, kind of, even though I know I do it sometimes. I know. Oh, okay. And JRB says, I never heard of the R4P receiver. Well, the R4P receiver, the whole R, yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, who asked about that? Forgive me, I have a short working memory here. So, Flight Pro 16. Flight Pro 16, how do you like that R4P receiver? Like, what's up with that? What's the deal with that receiver? Because, like, it looks interesting, but I'm just curious, like, what's kind of the point of it? Is it all just self-contained? Is that kind of the idea there? Anyway, so with the AF-HDS3, you have this whole new line of receivers, and are these backwards compatible? That's okay. I think that's actually that's what I was wondering, because you might have a situation where no, these wouldn't be backwards compatible. I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure the thing is, like, if you do have if you have backwards compatibility, your new radio would be able to use old receivers, but the new receivers couldn't be controlled by an old radio for sure. I'm pretty sure. Sure. Okay. Anyway, the R4P, they call it the Ant. I'm not sure what exactly is the big selling point. They don't really provide a description on the website here, but it's the FSR4P, and they call it the Ant. So I don't. Is it really small? Is it? I mean, it's PWM 4-channel, so it'd be for like a 4-channel airplane. I don't know, but it is nice that it has like sort of a built-in antenna. Although maybe it's not nice, because that means that you can't stick the antenna out of the airplane. So anyway, yeah. So just in case anybody is just now joining, we're talking about beginner RC questions that you may have as a beginner in the RC hobby, and we're talking about quadcopters and airplanes, and that's basically it. But stuff, particularly stuff that flies, is what I enjoy. But certainly not just FPV, not just quadcopters, but also airplanes, because that's what I started on. Didn't we all start on airplanes? Did everybody? I guess maybe not everybody, but if you started on an airplane, I would love to know if you did, and which airplane it was, or whatever you started on, whatever was your first aircraft, I suppose. And let's let me move on here. I get distracted so easily, but it's so easy. There's so many shiny things all over the place. Aryan Kumar is asking me if I can please say namaste. It's an Indian way. It's an Indian way wishing. Namaste. Hello. Is it possible to get a compatible FS-I6X receiver for the Align Trex 150? I don't know what that is. Please tell me. What is the Align Trex 150? Align Trex 150. Sounds like a vehicle. Wait, FS receivers. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to come back to that one. Aryan Kumar asks, which would you recommend? Which would you recommend, Mamba or iFlight? I take it you're talking like a flight controller or a stack type of deal. So, okay, short answer, I really can't say. All I've used is the Mamba, and honestly, not even the new Mamba. I'm so behind on the technology, man. So behind. I'm like a year behind. Actually, that does sound like a lot, but in quadcopter time, a year is like a long, long time. Mamba, F4 stack, and let's go to, sure, let's take a look at that, and then let's take a look at the iFlight. Oh, my keyboard is being weird again. iFlight, ESC stack. And a stack, just for anybody who's unfamiliar with that phrase, a stack is like, well, it's basically just electronic components stacked up is pretty much what it means. But it's generally it's like when you have a flight controller and your ESC combination stuck together, and so you call that a stack. Wow. Our warehouse is too small. That's cool. So we want what is electronics? Let's look at the mini flight controller. Oh, all-in-one. Also, all-in-one. That's another term you'll hear a lot. Oh, am I looking at the right thing? Oh, that's for a whoop. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not gonna. Okay, I can't really find a good example. This would be a good example of the new Diatone F405 Mini Stack Mark II F4. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Look at just like, wow, all that you can pack into that little tiny, two tiny little boards. That is just crazy. Personal preference, I would go with the Mamba. Personally. That if you said, Adam, you have to buy one of those, which one are you going to buy? I'd say, I'm going to buy the Mamba. Except I don't know if I'd get the Mini. Maybe I'd get the Mini. Well, no, not this one. This is a 20 amp ESC. They do have other ones like the where is it? Flight controllers. Wow, they still have power distribution boards. Old school, man. What they have the I can't find the new one. But they have higher amperage. Anyway, my point is I'd probably go with the full size one that has higher amperage. Instead of like the mini, unless I wanted to get a mini quadcopter, which actually, now that I think about it, I do. So I don't know why I would get the full size one. So kind of just contradicted myself there. Anyway, okay, all right, yeah. So yes, the Mamba. Home Dronin' FPV, hello and welcome to the chat. I appreciate you being here and commenting on my videos and everything. And it seems like you're always on there, so I appreciate that. When binding, let's say a Beta FPV light silverware brushed flight controller, that's a mouthful right there, on an OpenTX, how do you determine the default channel? Woo! I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't know because I don't have Beta FPV stuff. I don't have the light experience with the light, what do they call it, silverware. And I don't, wait, what happened? And I don't, sorry, I just got distracted by screens here. And I don't use OpenTX. So I really can't say, but hopefully somebody else will be able to help. Oh, and okay, so by default channel, you're talking about aileron, elevator, throttle, rudder, or aileron. Yes. I'm not sure. Kind of my thing that I tend to do is I just like, it's kind of trial and error is kind of what I do, which I know is really not helpful to just, it's not really helpful to give people technical, I mean, it's not helpful for giving people technical advice about what they should do, because it's like, well, just hit it with a hammer and see what happens. And it's like, well, okay. All right. All right. So, Tushar Shashiva is, I'm not sure if they're spamming saying which transmitter you should buy. That's they're suggesting that what is the best transmitter, or they're asking, so please don't spam in the chat, but to answer that question, the best transmitter to buy, I think it's such a general question, but I'm the Fly Sky guy, so I'm gonna say it's the i6X. But since we're talking about beginner questions, so I'm gonna say I think the i6X probably is the best beginner radio, but there are some other manufacturers that are making some competition, there's some competition to the i6X for like the best beginner radio, and I will be looking more into that in the near future. I think it's Jumper, the Jumper line of radios, how they can, you can just, it's like, use multiple protocols by default, which I think is, that's really cool. I mean, that is a great reason. That is a great reason to buy that as a beginner radio. But at the same time, I'm not sure if it's really like super important. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where it sounds great. It's like, oh yeah, I could bind it with like anything, and that could be very useful. But how often are you actually going to be flying with receivers outside of your ecosystem that you have? I don't know. And if the answer is a lot, then you might want to look at that one. Becky York, hi Becky, says I started on CP helicopter. What's a CP helicopter? But a helicopter. That's pretty intense. A helicopter. I have not gotten into helicopters yet. I want to though. They just seem so cool. Again, it's kind of, helicopters are like this is dumb, but helicopters are like the airplanes of quadcopters, in the sense that it's like a much larger physical thing. It sort of has like this unique shape to it, and a huge disc compared to smaller propellers on a motor. So I think that would be cool. That seems very rewarding to learn how to fly. Monkey asks, is the Tiny Hawk good? Yes. Yes, it is good. It is good. And now there's a whole bunch of flavors. There's a whole bunch of flavors of Tiny Hawk. By the way, if I missed anybody's question, just ask it again, because I might accidentally overlook your question. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Tiny Hawk, Emax Tiny Hawk. We go to Emax USA. They're hiring, guys. So if we look at, they have like a whole line of the Tiny Hawks, and just like anything else, it's like more options. That's great, but it's also like kind of confusing. Like, should I get the Tiny Hawk 2 Freestyle? Should I get the Tiny Hawk 2? Should I get the Tiny Hawk 2 Indoor FPV bundle? Is that different from the regular Tiny Hawk? Wait, hold up a second. Because that would be exciting if it was. a hot dog. That looks like the standard one. Okay, I didn't know they made a ready to fly bundle for the Tiny Hawk 2. That's actually pretty cool. So that's pretty cool. If you can find that someplace in stock, that would actually be pretty neat, the whole bundle package. But anyway, suffice it to say, there's a whole bunch of Tiny Hawk in the series to choose from. You know, which one is best? Well, it just, I mean, me personally, I think you could not go wrong with the Tiny Hawk 2, especially as a bundle if you're totally brand new to the FPV stuff. And I like the look of the Tiny Hawk 2 race, which is kind of like it's kind of like the Tiny Hawk 2, but like more amped up and juicy and more, you know, like more like a racing quad. It's like a shrunken racing quad. Anyway, this one looks really cool. So personally, and from the reviews that I've seen of it, I don't have one, but the reviews I've seen, I would go with the Tiny Hawk 2. And if somebody said to me, "Hey, I want to try out this whole FPV quadcopter thing," I'd say, get a Tiny Hawk 2. I think that's what I would say. Yeah. Do you recommend Sean? Hello, Sean. Hi. Sean asks, do you recommend the i6S for airplanes and drones? No, not really. I mean, you can do it, but I don't think that the i6S is really designed with airplanes in mind. It's not because it doesn't have the trim buttons. And that's like one of the main reasons, really. It does not have trim buttons. You have to do this weird process for the trim. No, the video is not out yet. There's gonna be a video out in just a little bit here about how to do the trim process on the i6S, and it's a little, it's not very intuitive. So that's why I don't like it. So I would say, generally, what I'm kind of saying is, if you fly mostly only drones, go with i6S. If you fly drones and planes, or you fly a lot of planes, primarily go with the i6X. And it's not helpful that those two letters sound so similar. Delicious. All right. JRB says T-Rex 150 is a helicopter. Oh, you were talking about with the that one before. Dang, I lost it in the chat. The question on that one. I'm so sorry, I lost your question in the chat about the what was it? The Trex, the T-Rex, the something. Sorry, ask me again. Okay. Yes. Okay. Finally. All right. Again, hi guys. If you're just joining, I'm kind of behind on the chat here, so I'm trying to catch up. But I appreciate you guys being here. I want to try and answer everybody's question. Here's a good one. Trash Panda Outdoors asks, is the FT Simple Cub a good beginner plane? Is the FT Simple Cub a good beginner plane? Many people seem to think so. Yeah, I would say yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it's a good beginner plane. I think it's not the best beginner plane, the best, quote unquote, but yeah, I don't know. I think something that would to me, something that would be really good as a beginner plane is something that is like very very slow, super like forgiving and docile. But again, like all these kind of like these sort of this criteria is kind of it just kind of depends on like what you think is slow and what you think is docile. So anyway, basically, yeah, I think it would be a good it would probably be a fine beginner plane. I think that yeah, it would. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. I have one. It's behind me, right there. That's it. Woo! That's it right there. Yeah, I would say it just to me it flies a little bit fast. It flies a little bit fast, so make sure you put a light-ish battery, or like a lighter battery, maybe like a 1300 milliamp hour battery in there. Pardon me. As long as you can get it to balance properly with a lighter battery, I would say that's probably ideal. But yeah, it's a good trainer airplane. But again, I'm not really known for my my amazing airplane flying abilities. So yeah, okay, enough about that. All right, okay. All right, Omnis Chamnes 11. Hi, hello, welcome. Welcome everyone, wherever you are in the world and whatever time of the day it is. And again, if you're just joining, we're talking about beginner RC stuff, and I'm trying to answer you guys' questions that you may have about getting into the RC hobby. And I'm just staring blankly here because I'm trying to catch up on you guys' comments. I think somebody else asked, what's the best beginner transmitter? Again, I'm just going to say the FlySky i6X, because that, yeah, I don't have experience with the other ones like the jumper and stuff. And also, I am pretty sure that FlySky, the i6X is still the cheapest in the price range for beginner radios. So I think it would still be cheaper. But it looks like you guys are already answering that in the comments there, which is cool. Can you? Somebody asked, can you please tell what can you tell please what is the range of the FlySky radio? I can tell you it's at least like half a mile. I don't know. I flew it far in one of the videos testing the crossover RX receivers. I think I flew it maybe half a mile, or was it like 3/4 of? I don't remember, but it was pretty far. So it'll go at least that far. Like, and that, to me, that's far. To me, that's really far. And honestly, I'm just not experienced enough flying at those distances. Like, I just don't do it often enough, or like ever, to really be able to say like, oh yeah, the latency was good, or it felt like there was some lag, or it was, whatever. If we go crossover RX range test. Yeah, that would be, yes. Let's see this one. Let's see. I want to make sure you guys aren't getting blasted out. Actually, that's fine. Look at, who's that guy? What? All right. So, what did I say here? That went out to about 1/3 of a mile. Is that the one I tested? 1/2 mile, right there. Whoop, it was there. All right, so it looks like the 602 T-A with this is the FlySky with the i6X radio, went about 1/2 of a mile. So that's really far. Like, I mean, really, for most flying, if you compare that to like flying in a backyard, flying 1/2 a mile is like super duper far. But if you are flying in like a huge field, like huge and around mountains and stuff, then I guess a half a mile is not that far. Somebody says, I am American, or they say, you are American. That is correct. I am American. Have I tried the the Free Sky ACCST, the AXT Tyrannus QX7? Man, so many abbreviations in this hobby. I tell you what. No, I have not tried it. And I probably won't. I mean, unless it gets like sent to me or something, I'm not gonna buy it. Because I just don't have any use for it, and I really am not a fan, like many other people, not a fan of the whole new protocol thing that Free Sky is doing, and just kind of how that whole thing is going down with making it, well, basically, like my understanding is not having the backwards compatibility to the other receivers. So if you have 20 Free Sky receivers and you get that radio, my understanding right now, I could be wrong, is that if you get the radio with the new protocol, you can't upgrade those receivers. That's my understanding anyway. So not a fan of that. But then again, I think FlySky's doing the same thing with their new Paladin radio. So like, what's up with that? I hope I'm wrong about that. I don't know. I might be. But you probably won't see me with a Paladin radio anytime soon, unless it gets sent to me to test out or something, because I just don't need it. I mean, honestly, for the most part, I just wouldn't be able to even use all the features that it has. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Let me get back to these questions here. Let me get back to these beautiful questions from you beautiful people. And I'm not glaring at you. I'm just trying to see through the I got this bright light coming towards me. So I'm trying to see through the shine of the light. Somebody says, Scott. Hey, Scott. Scott Abrams says, I forgot to back up a configuration for my Tyrannus X7 RTF or Tyranny X220, I think is what he says. And now I can't get it to work. Is there any way to download that stock configuration again that was tuned by the seller of this drone and con? I do not know. I am not familiar with that type. Maybe somebody is in the chat. Maybe they've already answered the question. I don't know. Generally, I would say probably the best place to try and find the stock configuration for something would be to go to the manufacturer's website, and then hopefully on that product page, they will have, hopefully they will have that. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. And Jailbreaker says, I have a TX01. How should I mount it on a Martian 2 frame? That's a good question. And I think that question was in the comment on the other video, which is cool because I was going to get back to it. So they say they're from India. And hello. I think I have a lot of Indian viewers, it would seem, which is super cool. I'm just kind of surprised, but that's super cool. Okay, I'm seeing some good recommendations in the chat. People talking about stuff. Okay. We still have more questions. All right. You know what? All right. We're going to take like a 5-minute break here. I think we've been on here for like almost 2 hours. We're going to take like a 5-minute break. I'm going to be right back. And then I will answer the rest of those questions. So don't leave. Don't go anywhere. Well, I mean, you can go somewhere, but then come right back because we're not done answering questions. We're just going to take a little break, and I will be right back. And I don't have now we're taking a break screen set up, so we're just going to go back to the starting soon screen, And we'll be right back, guys. I promise. I'll be right back. The RC with Adam experience continues. And here's your host, Adam. Hello and welcome back, everybody. We're back. Are you back? Am I back? Check, check, check. 1, 2. We're back. All right. So continuing on here. This wonderful person asks, I have a TX01. How should I mount it on the Martian 2 frame? Well, let's take a look at that right now. So let's look at, actually, let's go over to Banggood. The TX01. Oh, man. This keyboard is just killing me today. The TX01 is a FPV camera, I believe. There we go. Camera and VTX. Little combo unit. And this person is wondering how to mount it to their quadcopter frame. Well, actually, this might be a good way of doing it. Okay, there we go. So there's the TX01. I think that's like the most basic version. Now I've done this as well. I mean, I've used this type of little mini combo transmitter on a larger frame, and it's easy. It's simple. You know, it's nice to just have everything in one kind of unit. So that's cool. But mounting it can be kind of tricky. So if you're talking about so they make mounts, and I think you can. I'm sure you could 3D print a mount for sure. So you could get a mount. That mount looks 3D printed, actually. A mount like this, or maybe just make one out of like foam board and hot glue. I know that's not ideal, but it would work. I mean, I guess, this isn't really an ideal camera and antenna setup anyway for that one. And also just to be thorough here, a Martian 2. So a Martian oh man, I don't know what's going on with this keyboard. Crazy. Martian 2 frame. The Martian 2. Now, looking at this frame, I can see how the question is not necessarily just like, how do I, generally mount it? It's like, how do I mount it on this frame? And the thing about this frame is that it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of space in the front part for that little antenna coming up out of there. But that's that is kind of a tough one. Because if you mount it down in the frame, then if you mount it so that the antenna is protected, then you limit your signal, and that's because that carbon fiber frame is going to deflect a lot of the FPV feed signal transmission thing from the antenna. So if you mount it up top, so that the antenna sticks out on the top, above the top part, then you risk damaging it. But I mean, that seems like probably the best option. So the question then is, how do you actually get it to be mounted up that high? Like I said, the cheap method would be like foam board and hot glue or some kind of foam. And the fancier method would be to 3D print a mount to go across there. Yeah, so that's what I would say if I understand that question correctly. However, if your wires might not even be long enough to reach that far, that could be tricky. Or you could, depending on if you want to, take the risk and everything, you could almost chop off part of that front half of the top frame. That's a bad idea. Probably don't do that, actually. I mean, you could, though. If you had to fit it, then you'd have this little plate on the bottom plate. You'd have that whole little area as like a little platform. But maybe don't do that. Maybe not, because probably you'll end up upgrading to a better FPV system and with a dedicated camera, and you kind of want to save that portion to put a real camera in there. I hope that answered that question. Pardon me. There was somebody said something about JRB says start with a Wakira V45 V450D03 helicopter for $300 ready with radio set to fly. Interesting. Let's look that up right now. I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but I'm assuming that's a suggestion for me because I was saying I wanted to get into helicopters and stuff. Oh, please bear with me, folks. Please bear with the technical difficulty. Walk era. Walk era. V450 D03. D03. Whoa. All right. Oh, let's look at Amazon. Aha. Well, that one's more expensive than that, but interesting. See, I know nothing about helicopters. Well, I mean, I know I have zero experience with helicopters is what I'm trying to say here. So that'll be like a whole new thing to get into, like the types of blades and how they work and the different little swash plate things and the tail rotors, and it's got this or it's got that, stabilization and gearing, and wow. That's gonna be interesting to get into. Moving right along here. JRB says, did you know shooting a quad is a federal offense up to 20 years in prison? No. I knew it wasn't a good thing. And I can't verify that right now, but I'll take your word for it for the moment. Yeah. That's how do you guys feel about that? What do you think about that? Like, is that, I know, well, we're not going to get too far off topic here, but on the one hand, it's like, it's good that I guess drones have some like protection, but at the same time, 20 years is a while. You know what I'm saying? So it seems a bit much, since no one would be on board. But I guess that's the maximum. That's the maximum penalty. Anyway, that's boring stuff though. We're going to talk about fun stuff here. Okay, I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but I'm kind of getting lost in the chat. But it looks like there's some good troubleshooting stuff going on, so that's great. Navaroji says, hi Adam, we usually get RX loss and subsequently failsafe while doing a turn. I'm using the FlySky FSI6 with FLI 14 plus receiver. Okay. Well, my first thought would be, how is your antenna, or how are the antennas mounted? Because on the 14 plus there are two antennas, and so basically you probably know this already, but for those who don't, you want to have your antennas kind of like as far away from the quadcopter frame as possible, because that frame is typically made of carbon fiber, and it has electronics and stuff on it, and so it's going to be blocking that radio signal from the receiver. And then also you want your antennas, if you have two antennas, you want them to be like perpendicular to each other. So you want one pointing like straight up, and then one pointing like straight out. So I can't tell is it reversed? I think the camera's reversed. So you want one antenna going straight up, and then another one going like 45 degrees. Well, 45 degrees or 90 degrees to it. And if you only have one antenna, generally you want it at a 45 degree angle from yourself, sort of. Yeah. So that's the first thing I would check when it comes to that. Especially if you can narrow it down to like which type of turn or how you turn. And that could yeah, you can kind of troubleshoot it and figure out what exactly is going on there. Maybe it's a loose wire or something. Well, it's probably not a loose wire, but maybe it's like when you do a turn, it moves something a certain way. I don't know. Jailbreaker also asks, what are the best cheap goggles? The best cheap goggles. Again, I try to stay up on like especially the budget type stuff, you know, because that's the type of people that I like to serve, is the people that are, you know, interested in budget stuff, because I'm interested in budget stuff. I always like keep up super well with the latest tech. Partly because I don't always like, you know, get it sent to me and stuff, and partly because I'm like making other projects. But when it comes to the best goggles, what I had seen were some ESG goggles. I hope. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been like super up on this, but I think it's the most recent Eachine box goggle that looked interesting to me. Man, this autocorrect is just killing me. Eachine. It's like, you mean machine, right? No, I mean Eachine. Eachine, I guess they say. Eachine. All right. So, is it the 800 DMs? There's one of these. Okay. Uh-oh. Internet issues. The internet's been kind of spotty lately, so we might be having some internet issues crop up here. How are we looking? Trying to find my stream health. How do I find that? Oh, there it is. Okay. So it says it's good. Says it's good. How's your internet out there, people? How's your internet doing? Isn't that amazing, the internet? Like, we're all on this internet thing, and we're all able to, like, you know, hang out and stuff at the same time. Crazy. All right, so anyway, I think it was this one. Maybe it was this one. Maybe this is a newer one. I'm not sure. But basically, I would check out the Eachine EV800 DM goggles, I think. I think these are the latest ones, and they look pretty good. Something like this. Basically, an Eachine box goggle is probably going to be the best, cheapest FPV goggles. Now, a couple things about when you're looking for FPV goggles. A big thing is going to be the screen size. So right here it says 3-inch. I don't know, can you guys read that okay? Let's hope you can. Is this zoomed in? That doesn't really help, does it? Let's zoom in. There we go. Well, anywho, sorry. So like the big difference between the box goggles is going to be the screen size. So when it says 3 inches, that's like the actual size of the screen, and that's it's going to determine how large the physical goggles are, and then it's also kind of going to determine usually like your field of view, but kind of some other factors. Honestly, the technology may be getting better than what I'm familiar with my older box goggles. Right now I'm using the Fat Shark Scout goggles, which I like them okay, but I'm not crazy about them. Honestly, I've never used actual FPV goggles, like normal or sunglass style FPV goggles with 2 individual screens. I've never used that before, so that might be kind of fun to try out. But anyway, I would take a look at these ones. These ones right here. And if you use the links, I think in the description of this live stream or in my other videos, if you use those links when you purchase this, you'll be supporting RC with Adam. So you'll be able to keep these videos coming and keep food in my belly. And I do appreciate that. All right. All right. And looks like we got some new people. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome. Well, not welcome back. I mean, welcome. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to RC with Adam Live Edition. Talking about answering your RC beginner questions as best I can to help you get into the RC hobby, whether it's airplanes or quadcopters or whatever. So even if you have those questions that you're like, no, man, I don't want to ask those questions, I'm going to look stupid. You better ask those questions. Otherwise, you will be stupid. Think about that. Okay. Atul Kumar says 3S or 4S for a beginner. That's a great question. I'm assuming we're talking about quadcopters here, and I'm going to say 3S. And especially if we're talking about like a 5-inch quadcopter, because that's kind of like that's sort of like a standard, I would say. So I would say 3S. And in case you don't know what 3S and 4S mean, is 3 or 4 cell batteries. The S doesn't stand for cell, but you could think of it like cell. So 3S is going to be less powerful than 4S, and there's quite a big difference. So yeah, if you're first starting out, I would actually suggest getting a 3-cell battery, and then graduating up to the 4-cell batteries. Like you can definitely start on a 4-cell battery, but it would be let me think about this. Yes. Yeah, I think the easiest thing would be to just get a 3-cell battery, so then you can use that and start out with that. And then work your way up to a 4-cell. But if you only have 4-cell batteries, you can limit the power of the 4-cell battery and kind of your throttle settings, if you will, in order to make it fly like it's a 3-cell. So basically, like you're using less power. And I guess in order to do that, you could probably adjusting your throttle curve on your transmitter might be a simple way of doing that, or going into Betaflight and adjusting the throttle settings in Betaflight. I think probably, but that honestly that might be more confusing. So if you just need a simple way of doing it while you're learning how to fly, probably that would be good. And of course, as a beginner, definitely simulator. Use a simulator. Spend the money. Even sometimes it's just like a few $5 or something, maybe $10. And if you can get a simulator, that will save you so much time and really so much money. And if you get a simulator, you probably don't even need to start out on a 3-cell battery, to be honest with you there. Actually, if you think about it, the cost of a 3-cell battery is about how much it would cost to get a simulator. Actually, a 3-cell is probably more expensive, probably like $15 or $20 for a decent one. Anyway, continuing on. Platine 51 FPV says, in response to the person asking about the best cheap goggles, they say, I started with an Eachine VR007 Pro goggles, but you can't expect much at that price, but are great to start with. That's true. You'll probably end up kind of upgrading, but look, especially these goggles right here. Again, I have not used these, and so you might want to kind of check around for these. I think these are the newest ones. I think they're the newest ones. I do like that they have the adjustable focal length and stuff, but it's like they're going to be so much better than just a screen, like a flat little screen, like your phone. Trying to look through a flat screen, especially if it's like daytime. I mean, you got sunlight and stuff. It can be very difficult. These, I think, are probably going to be great. to get started with. That is what I'm thinking, because I mean, like, they're under $100, which is pretty nuts. Okay. Home Drone and FPV says the SJR-G01 goggles are great, and they have dual diversity, so you might check those out. Reese Wangler says EV 100. Hey Reese, how's it going? Glad you could be here. Toby Hicks says, what soldering iron should I use? Good question, Toby. You should not use what I use pretty much all the time right now, because I have not upgraded in a long time. What I would suggest would actually be like unless there's something better than this that came out recently, please somebody let me know. The TS100 soldering iron, and this one, actually this is probably like the exact one that I'm about to buy. I'm finally going to upgrade from a broken Weller setup, because I had a Weller brand, and it had like the separate little what do you call it, the little station. It had a little soldering station, and had the little twisty knob to make it hotter or not as hot. Well, I broke that, and so now I've just been doing it like old school, like plugging it into the wall. Plugging it into the wall, and then having to unplug it constantly because it would get too hot, and then too cold, and too hot. So I think this is probably a really good solution to that. And this one is about $72 right now. And from what I've seen, it's very much worth it, especially because you can run it off of a 4-cell to 6-cell battery. So that is super cool, because I'm going to be having some projects coming up, or have projects now, where it would be helpful to not have to plug in the soldering iron. So big upgrade there. If you're just looking for like a beginner soldering iron, there's like a lot of them. Soldering iron. Let's just look up here. When am I gonna learn that my keyboard doesn't work? I don't know. Anyway, there's a bunch of beginner soldering irons. I'm sure people in the chat can give some suggestions as well. But if you're just getting started with soldering, don't feel like you need to spend probably even like $30 on a soldering iron. You can get started with soldering from a really cheap soldering iron from Harbor Freight or any place for like $10. Okay, I would say don't go super cheap to where it's like $5, because that thing, I don't know, I really probably wouldn't trust that. But for your first few projects, or even like your first drone, you could definitely just use like a really cheap $10 soldering iron for sure. Charles C. Don't freak out, Charles. Charles says, any hints on getting drivers to work on Betaflight? I'm about ready to freak out. I really dislike computers. Yeah, I know how you feel. I dislike them as well, but they're so useful. So, yeah, what I would do, well, are you on a Mac or are you on a PC? What I would suggest would be finding the, what's it called? It's like the Impulse RC, Impulse. There we go. Impulse RC. What is going on with this keyboard? Oh man. All right, let me just, Impulse RC driver fixer. I'm sorry. Let me just get that out. Impulse RC driver fixer. Check that out. Somebody in the chat may have already mentioned that. Because basically the idea with the Impulse RC driver fixer is that it will automatically apply any drivers that are necessary, essentially. And I don't know if that works for the Mac. I think for the Mac you don't need the drivers for Betaflight. I'm not totally sure. And trying to get this thing working here. This is just not working. Very strange. Impulse RC, driver fixer. Okay, there we go. All right, so Impulse RC. Let's see, you guys can see that, right? Kinda. In any case, it's like on impulserc.com. Try that. Try the Impulse RC driver fixer. You download that, and for me, that has worked really well with at least on the PC. So let me know if that helps. Yes. Jailbreaker says, I love your channel. Thank you, Jailbreaker. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I try my best. Trying to really get this thing rocking and rolling for you guys, helping people get into the hobby and learn stuff in the hobby as well. Not just get into the hobby, but like really get in it and then get something out of it. Reese says airplanes. I agree, airplanes. Navarohi says, Adam, which HD camera can you suggest for FPV and cinematic shooting, which can be comparable to any GoPro? I'm going to say none. None of them are as good as a GoPro. And I would like to be proven wrong, but that's from what I've seen, they just don't quite stack up to the latest Hero 8. Because I finally got a Hero 8 a little while back. I mean, yeah, like when it came out. And I was blown away by how it looks. And I also got a Eachine Cinecan, which I actually still have like barely flown because there was issues with the frame and vibration. And so now I need to like 3D print a new frame, and I kind of want to like design it. So now I have to design a frame to 3D print so I can fly the thing. Anyway, point is, it has the Caddx Tarsier on it, and unless they have updated it tremendously since I've like last looked at the most common HD cameras for FPV, like HD FPV combo cameras, it just doesn't. It's just not as good as the GoPro. For one, there's like a lot of things actually. One of the things is just the stabilization is not as good. The field of view is not as good. Usually it's very cropped actually. There's just usually a lot more like kind of like blur to it, and it just I don't know, just not quite there really. So I don't know. Maybe somebody else can. I would love to hear about like what is the best, most comparable HD FPV like all-in-one unit. What's the closest to a GoPro? And also the DJI goggles, like that whole thing. So the DJI. Okay, so yes, that's the answer to that question. Another question that somebody asked is it worth it to spend the money on a DJI FPV system? So just in case you're super new to the hobby, which is great, glad you're here. The DJI is a drone company, and they normally make camera drones. They came out a little while ago, like a couple years ago. I don't remember, but fairly recently they came out with a digital FPV system, and that's a big deal because FPV systems have been analog for like a long time. So basically, instead of an analog video feed, you have a digital video feed, and it looks way better than an analog video feed. I haven't actually gotten to try them out at all. Okay, so That's super cool, and there are definitely some advantages and disadvantages to the digital FPV system. But one of the main advantages is that you get a way better image, like I guess like HD or something close to HD digital image of like the real-time video feed, which that is pretty awesome. Like I haven't tried it, but I'll bet if I flew with that, that would be such an amazingly different experience. However, if you're just getting into the hobby, I would not do that. Or if you are what am I trying to say here? Well, so the goggles are like, I think 400, at least 400 for the goggles, and then what they call the DJI Air unit is like the camera and the HD video transmission system all in one. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't researched the whole system thoroughly. But those individually, I think, are like $150. So you would either have to have an easy way of swapping that digital FPV system from one quadcopter to another, or you would have to buy individual air units, which I think are about $150. So the way this all ties back to the HD FPV camera thing is that you do get the HD FPV feed, which is super cool. But unfortunately, again, unless I'm wrong, I think the actual recorded, the DVR recording of the flight is also only that same quality. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, but the point is that it's not really like cinematic type of quality. So that seems like kind of a bummer, because you would think that like if you're gonna do the digital HD FPV system, that you would have that option to make it like really good recorded footage in addition to the HD footage of the FPV feed. Anyway, I hope that answers things. But if anybody has the DJI FPV system, please chime in the chat. Oh, one more thing to note about that. If you are interested in a digital FPV, no, I'm sorry. If you are interested in capturing cinematic style stuff with an FPV thing, check out the what is it called? The Dyson Mini, like Tiny Whoop, or it's called the Dyson Mini. Let's do that right now. If the keyboard works, is it going to work? Let's turn it on. Come on, keyboard. Come on. Oh, Dyson. It's weird. It's almost like slow. Maybe there's probably a problem with the Bluetooth connection. Dyson Mini drone. Let's try this. A lot of you guys probably know what I'm talking about already. No, that does not help. Dyson Mini. That's what it's called, right? Keyboard is not working. Okay, I'm gonna use this keyboard. GoPro. It should be like. Okay, why is this not showing up? What yeah. All right, that's a little annoying. Okay, anyway, basically this guy sorry if that's too loud. This guy takes a GoPro, strips it down, and then puts it on like a Tiny Whoop. Let's just go to YouTube. Let's see what's going on in YouTube land. All right, so Dyson Mini Whoop. They probably think I'm talking about a vacuum cleaner. There we go. Hey, I was right. So this thing right here. Oh, I don't want to watch an ad. Come on. Anyway, so you can check this out, but this guy made this thing. just like that. And so he basically stripped down a GoPro. I think it's a GoPro 6 or 7, or Hero 6, and you can get like some super great footage of that, which, well, I won't try and find any right now, but he does have some really cool videos. This one is about actually how to like make the thing. So anyway, those are my thoughts about that. Man, once I get talking about something, I just keep on talking. Okay, I gotta step it up. I gotta step it up here. Oh man, all right. Good. Let's see. Charles says Windows. He's got a Windows 10. He's working on the driver fixer. Good. Man, I'm way behind in the chat. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm coming up on it here. Here we go. Reese says, "Have you ever built a flying wing or a rectangle?" Or a rectangle? Yes, I have built a flying wing. It's over there somewhere. Did I build two? And then I have this other. Okay, so like I'm not very successful with flying wings, but I have built some flying wings. I built the B2 wing, I think I called it, and that's basically just like a flat profile style flying wing. Didn't work out super well, but that was just kind of the first version. And then I also made a flying wing of the Walmart glider type of thing. Yeah, so I just basically chopped the tail off sort of and created a flying wing using the Walmart glider. You can check it out. There's a video. I mean, I have a video on my channel about that. I think it's called like Walmart. I called it the wall wing, actually. If you search YouTube for wall wing RC plane, I'll bet it will come up. Atul Kumar asks, have I ever faced any problem with a cloned flight controller? I'm assuming the question is for me. Any problems in that like a inferior quality because it's cloned? No, but I mean, I don't have much experience. I don't have enough experience to really say much about whether clones are very problematic or not. Jailbreaker, thank you. He says your Basher series are sick. I assume you mean the Budget Basher video series, the build series. Thank you for that. I hope that was helpful to you guys. I want to do another build series soon. I'm just not sure what exactly. I think it'll probably be like a toothpick style size quadcopter. Toby Hicks says he appreciates the all the Fly Sky videos that I have. Thank you, Toby. He says he says they really helped, and he doubts that he would be flying without the videos. So that's super cool to hear. I love. Oh, it's still I can't even. It blows my mind just that that I would be able to help as many people as I do with those videos. It's super great. I appreciate that. Reese says soft mount motors on your Cinewoop. I don't know if that's a question, but it sounds like a good idea. I'm curious about soft mounting motors. It seems like logically it couldn't possibly be a bad thing, and it would have to help with the vibration by soft mounting the motors. But then some people are like, nah, man, it doesn't matter anymore. Flight controllers are so good, it doesn't matter. So I don't know. Personally, I think I would still like to soft mount motors because motors still spin around and they still vibrate. So it seems like that would just make sense. Jailbreaker asks, do you think digital FPV will get cheaper with time? I think it would have to. I don't see how it could not. Because like once they get it figured out and once technology gets better and then once there are more competitors, it's going to have to get cheaper. Probably. Yeah, probably. I would say so. I hope so. I certainly hope so. Like I want to jump on that, digital FPV bandwagon as well, but at the same time, you could start flying FPV for like under $100, like with everything, goggles and all that stuff. Well, no, goggles and a camera, like a video transmitter, a VTX camera, all in one type of thing for like maybe $20, and then goggles like those cheap ones we were looking at. And so you could do it for very cheaply with analog, not so much with digital. Sean says, my RC plane keeps pitching down when I apply throttle. I check the pitch of the motor and it is fine. Can you please help? That's a good question. I think you left that comment in the other video, and I was thinking about that. Pardon me. And that was what I was going to say was the pitch of the airplane. I'm sorry, the pitch of the motor, check and see whether your motor was like tilted down or up or whatever. So let's see, when you apply the throttle, you check the pitch of the motor and it is fine. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that would be. Can anybody else think of why that would be? If a motor is not pointed down at all. Well, actually, he says you check the pitch of the motor and it is fine. So well, hang on. Sorry, I'm thinking here. Because typically with a motor, you would actually want it to point down a little bit into the left or right because of what's like when you give it throttle, it would want to pitch up. So you're kind of counteracting that. So that's kind of a mystery. I can't think of why that would be at the moment, unless like for some reason you had your throttle linked to your elevator, which that wouldn't really make sense, and I don't think it'd be very easy for that to happen accidentally. So that's probably not it. So I'm not sure about that one. Is your plane, Sean? Is your plane a specific model, or did you build it yourself? Let us know, because that will probably help to diagnose the problem. Toby Hicks says you can use analog in your digital goggles if you buy an adapter. That is true, and that's a good point. And I saw it because I was watching that Joshua Bardwell video about like reasons to not buy the digital FPV system. And yes, that is true. You can use the analog with an adapter, but it's like you still have to buy an adapter, man. You got to buy an adapter. And if you buy, I don't know how much they cost, but they got to be kind of expensive. $50, $100? I don't know. I'm not sure. But basically, it's like another thing that you have to buy. So I kind of feel like, especially if you are just getting into the hobby, unless you specifically have to have, like you want the digital HD look, and that's like your whole point, not just being able to like fly around and see and experience the awesomeness that is FPV flying. You really want that HD, image. Otherwise I would, if that's what you want, then go with the DJI system. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Okay. Michael D04 asks, they said, Help! I build my first quad yesterday, and it flew the first time in acro, and it was doing fine. But then it crashed twice, and said RX loss. Did it crash? Did it say RX loss and then crash, or like did it just kind of like fall out of the sky? If it did, I mean RX loss means that you lost connection with your receiver and your transmitter. So what I would do is, let's see. So you said you just built it. You just built it yesterday. So what kind of, yeah, tell us what kind of receiver and transmitter you're using, and then basically kind of like I said in the in response to another question, which was make sure that your antennas are sticking out of the quadcopter, like as far away from the quadcopter frame as you can get them, because if your antenna, wait, how's this? There we go. If your antenna is on the quadcopter and it's sticking up right here, and like, I don't know, like that, but then you turn your quadcopter. This is backwards. It's hard to, I can't tell what I'm doing here. Anyway, the point is, why don't I just use a real quadcopter? Hang on, stay right there. Okay. This is probably a little bit better for a demonstration. So if you have your quadcopter and these blue things, if you can see these right here, let me move that screen. If you can see these blue things right here, right here, and right here, these are the antennas, the receiver antennas. So I have them mounted up away from the quadcopter frame, and I have them mounted at like roughly 90 degrees to each other. So the idea is that if my quadcopter, so let's say, how should I do this? Let's say you're flying the quadcopter from your perspective. Right now the quadcopter's looking at you, you got both antennas, everything's cool. But if you turn the quadcopter away from you, well, you still have this antenna sticking up, and so you can theoretically, still get a good radio connection. And the same kind of thing is like if you're pointed straight, or maybe even tilted the other way, basically, and you're facing the quadcopter, you can still get like some antenna sticking up here or antenna sticking up, here. So basically, the idea is you're minimizing the amount that the quadcopter is going to be in the way of the antenna, if that helps. But there could be some other stuff going on, and honestly, it could be a dud antenna or something, or maybe a dud transmitter. I mean, hopefully not, but it's it's possible that there could be like things that you can't fix, or at least not easily, things that are wrong with the transmitter or the receiver that could cause that to happen. One important thing is to make sure that you, when you're holding your transmitter, that you have it like pointed in such a way that it's going, basically pointed towards your quadcopter. If it has, you kind of want if you have your receiver antenna right here, if it's sticking straight up, if you only have one antenna on your transmitter, you probably want to put it kind of straight up or like straight down, basically like perpendicular to the quadcopter. So, because if you point it right at the quadcopter, all of the radio frequency goodness is sort of going to the side of the antenna in a really basic way. So you kind of want your antenna to be, I guess, perpendicular, or you want it to be vertical and not pointing directly at your quadcopter, basically. And that could be one of the reasons why that happens, or maybe somebody walked in front of you, or maybe you turned around and your body blocked the signal. That can happen for sure. Okay. All right. I'm trying to catch up on these questions. Then we're going to have to wrap it up, because I got to get back to editing some videos for you guys. let's see. Charles C. Back at you, Charles. Charles says, just to be sure, what drivers do I need for Windows 10? Just the USB one, or do I need two? Okay, so the drivers that he's talking about, let's see, that you were talking about would be like, let's get Betaflight up here. So it would be these guys. So the latest STM USB VCP drivers, the CP210X drivers. I think those are the only ones that you're gonna need. But I'm no computer scientist, but I'm pretty sure if you just download any drivers that you think you're gonna need, then that'll work, and you can't really hurt anything by having too many drivers, I think. Okay. See, I should have asked this. See, I've been in like the quad world, so I kind of forgot about the plane world and different types of planes. And one of the types of planes that you can have is a pusher type of plane, and that is what Sean has. So Sean is the person who said that when they give it throttle, the airplane goes down. Okay, so and people have been helping him in the chat, which is awesome. You guys are great. Sean says he built it. I built it myself, and it is a Delta wing with elevon and flaps, and it is a pusher. So, in my limited experience, the thing about pushers is that they're tricky. It's hard to get the CG right, and it's hard to get like the thrust just right. And if you give it too much, like angle, well, so I guess basically two things is if the motor is not at the correct angle, then it will cause problems. And if the CG, that is the center of gravity, or essentially basically the balance, really what we're concerned about is the balance forward and backward, fore and aft of the airplane, that needs to be balanced as well. So with a pusher style airplane, the thing, sorry, hang on, let me switch over to here. Okay. All right. And I'm not trying to talk like you don't know anything, Sean, because you probably know all this. I'm trying to help anybody else who's not as familiar with this type of stuff. One second. Let me get my plane. Okay. So the thing with a pusher, this is the wall wing, by the way. Can you see? I can't tell if you can see that. Okay. So the thing about a pusher airplane, one of the things that's tricky is like, the motor is back here. This lighting is just crazy. So the motor is back here, and so you can imagine if you push the if the motor is tilted like, hang on, sorry, I'm trying. It's just, we don't need that. Okay, so here we have the motor right here. If the motor is tilted, like pointing sort of in an upward direction or up down direction, because technically like the sort of the front of the motor is pointing backwards, but you know what I'm saying. If it's going this way, then the thrust is going to be pushing, it's going to push the whole back end of the airplane upward, and the nose is going to go downward. So that would be something to check, is that you might actually have to put in some, I don't think I did with this one, but you might have to put in some upward pointing, how do I explain that? You might need to make your motor point upwards in the tail direction, in the back direction. So that when you give it power, the motor is kind of going to be pushing down a little bit on the elevator direction. I mean, yeah, it's as though it would be pushing the tail downward and lifting the nose up a little bit. So that could be it. Also the balance forward and backward could be off, but you'd probably notice that all the time and not just when you start the motor. Anyway, that was the wall wing there. So let me know if that makes sense or if that helps or if it doesn't make sense, because I don't want to give anybody the wrong information. Okie dokie. Reese asks, how do I hang up all my airplanes? String, sometimes rubber bands, but rubber bands tend to break. So usually what I'll do is I'll take like a little, I will take a pin, like a little like pin with a ball on the end, like for sewing or whatever, and just stab it into the foam. And then I will take a piece of string and then like make a loop and then just put a thumbtack in the wall. That's usually what I do. And the planes are so light that it holds up just fine. Toby Hicks says, also I have got a really good solution for switch and gimbal protection I can share with you, which is even easier and cheaper than your one. I assume you mean the Instamorph cover that I made for my i6 and i6X quadcopter. I'd be interested in hearing about that. So you can let us know now or send me an email at rcwithadam@gmail.com. And we can go from there, or we could share it, or maybe share it on the next live stream or something. I don't know. We could do all kinds of stuff. Okay, let me keep going here. I love this. I love answering you guys' questions, because I know what it's like to have questions, and you're like, man, I'm trying to find the answer, but I just can't find the answer. I just need, because it's hard to sometimes to do a Google search of something that if you're not even sure what words to use to describe something. Okay. All right. Everything is Easy asks, hey, can you make a simple programming video of the FSI6 setup? Yes. Or did I already? Or have I? I think so. What exactly do you want to program or set up? Because almost all of the i6X videos that I have will also work with the i6 as well. But yes, the answer to that is yes. Mamali13313 asks, hey Adam, any suggestions for a whoop for beginners? I'm glad you asked. And like we talked about, I think sometime earlier in the stream here, where did it go? The Tiny Hawk 2. I think, again, I haven't flown it, but I've seen reviews and it seems to be pretty legit. And if you're getting into FPV and stuff, and oh, I'm sorry. Wait, you can't see that. You can't see that. Let me switch. I gotta switch cameras here. Boom. There we go. Tiny Hawk 2. Right. Yeah. Tiny Hawk 2. It's got the goggles, transmitter, quadcopter, chargers, batteries, everything that you need. And so it seems like a super solid option for somebody just getting into FPV flying, and they want to they want an all-in-one kind of kit and something that they can fly indoors. Let's see if we can pull this one up here on Banggood to see how much it costs. I think it's this one, Tiny Hawk 2, or is this the kit? I don't think this is the kit. Oh, no. Wait, is this the kit? This might be the kit. I'm not sure. So you can buy it by itself or as a kit, which with a transmitter. Now, if you plan on getting into the hobby more, you might not want to buy it as a ready-to-fly kit necessarily, because you might want to buy a different transmitter and a different goggle setup. But let's look at it. Let's look at it right here, because I don't just like shopping on Banggood or Amazon or whatever. I do like to support the actual FPV. Oh man, look at that thing, the Hawk Pro, FPV shops. People that are really in the hobby, supporting the hobby. Unfortunately, they don't have exactly what I was looking for, but they do have the Tiny Hawk 2 Race, which is what I was looking at. That looks pretty tasty, I'll be honest with you. But let's go over to Get FPV. Can we go over to Get FPV? GetFPV.com. And they should have it as well. So I think it's about 150 maybe. Tiny Hawk 2. There we go. Shaboom. Never mind. I stand corrected. It's $176.99. But if you think about, like, they're selling that one as, they're selling just the quadcopter for around $100, and then if you were going to buy a transmitter, if you were going to buy like a FlySky transmitter, it'd be about like $50 to $60, and then the goggles probably at least like $80. I mean, it depends on how cheap you want to get. Anyway, point is, I think it's a good setup. One thing about the Tiny Hawk, or actually the Emax stuff, I'm not sure if they have an option for FlySky transmitters. Do they? Oh, it says the included receiver is compatible with FreeSky D8 and D16 mode. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So if you are into FreeSky, not FlySky, FreeSky, then the Tiny Hawk 2 ready to fly bundle will work with that. Just fun fact for you there. So Mamali 13313, that is what I would suggest for a beginner tiny whoop type of setup. Seems pretty darn legit from what I've seen of it. Charles C., you're welcome, Charles. I too think that it is great watching me read the questions, and good times. Indeed. All right. Okay. Wow. Oh man, we gotta wrap it up here in just a minute. One more thing I want to cover though. I hope I answered you guys' questions. If you have questions that I did not answer, now's your chance. Speak now, or forever hold your peace until maybe next Friday. I don't know. You guys want to do like a Friday thing? Thing is, I feel like every time I say like, oh yeah, we'll do this every Friday, it's like it never happens because I said that. So using that psychology logic, we're never going to do this again. This is going to be the one and only live stream ever. First and last. Well, that's not true. It's not the first, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just kidding around. All right, let me pull up some questions here that I want to make sure I get to, because I appreciate you guys commenting on the announcement video for this live stream. So, okay, yeah, here's a great question. Beautiful question right here. Oh wait, you already asked this. Somebody in the chat already asked this. This is Mathage Westhoff. Should I get a 5-inch or 3-inch as my first race quad? Well, personally, I'm going to say get a 3-inch. Get a 3-inch quadcopter. I really am starting to like smaller quadcopters, and I think that well, I mean, obviously, there's tons of them now on the market. So obviously, we're going into like this smaller, tiny quadcopter, more packing all of this electronics and amazing goodness into a very small package. But I think that's a really great thing because, a 5-inch quadcopter, yeah, they rock. They're powerful. They're very capable. You can put a GoPro on them. You can put all kinds of stuff. But look, I mean, they're heavy. I know not all of them are heavy. Some of them are built for racing, and they're very light. But usually they're very light and they're very expensive, and they're very well. They're still durable, but they're maybe not exactly the most durable in the sense that they'd be good for a beginner. So the point here is that, like, yeah, it's a very capable quad, a 5-inch quadcopter, but it's really heavy. And so when you crash that thing, you've got that much momentum going on with, if you're and there's two things about that. Is you're gonna damage your quadcopter. You're more likely to damage your quadcopter, and you're more likely to damage whatever you run into. So if you run into, heaven forbid, you run into a person, accidentally, that could be very bad. Of course, the spinning blades would be bad anyway. But you know what I'm saying, or you run into a window, that would be bad, or a car. If you do that with like a half-pound 5-inch quadcopter, that's gonna be a lot of force. But if you hit that same thing with a little Tiny Hawk 2 or the Tiny Hawk 2 Race or something that weighs very, very little, then you're gonna it's gonna be better for the object and the quadcopter as well. So I would say go with the 3-inch. Now, of course, if you actually want to race and you want to race 5 inches, other 5-inch quadcopters, or you want to be like in that racing class, then yeah, you're gonna have to get a 5-inch quadcopter. But personally, I think 3-inch quadcopters would kind of be the way to go. 3-inch or smaller. Ironically though, what tends to happen is when you get to really small quadcopters, like micro quadcopters, it becomes very difficult to solder these tiny little boards and these little wires. So yeah, it's almost like it's easier for a beginner to build probably a 5-inch quadcopter because you're not working with these teeny tiny parts and these teeny tiny screws and all that stuff. But it's probably better to start with a smaller quadcopter. That's what I'm thinking about that. So between a 3-inch and a 5-inch, I would say go with a 3-inch. And then, of course, smaller than 3-inch, like the toothpick class. That's very interesting to me. Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. Like I said, several questions about what is the best kit to buy. Let me just reiterate on that just in case you weren't here when we first talked about that. So I would say probably the Eachine the Tyro series. That seems like a pretty good option for like a very much budget DIY kit, I think. Man, how far do we have to go? There we go. So that's like the smallest one that they have, I think. And I don't know. I kind of like it. I don't like how unprotected the camera is. I mean, it looks to me like you take one good crash with that, on the front of this thing landing on its head, and you're done. But I think a 3D printed canopy thing to go over the top, like a little shell, that might be just right. So that's what I would take a look at, or that series, the Tyro series, for good beginner kits. Disclaimer, I have not actually built any of them. I've just seen reviews on those, but I'm thinking about getting one. Christopher Lemire says, you talk about mixing motors. Are you talking about mixing a 2306 with your 2207, or are you mixing a 2100 kV with 1800 kV motors, or are you doing both? How big a deal is it to mix? I've got a little 3-inch with 1204s, but I smoked one and I was going to put on an 1105 while I waited for the 1204 to come in the mail. So many numbers. Should I just wait or go ahead and mix? I would say you mix. But that's me. That's me. I'm like, I'm like the mad scientist that just, slaps all these parts together and tries to fly it and stuff. So personally, well, shoot, if it was in the mail, you might have it by now. But like, again, me personally, I would not be too concerned about mixing motors. I think the technology now is like good to where it'll compensate for that stuff. But I have not studied this in depth. So, disclaimer, you might fry something, but personally, I'd give it a shot and see what happens. Especially if you like have to fly it, or if you just have the parts laying around. Like I've done that a whole bunch. Like on the quite a while back, the Yishin Lizard 105S, I think it is. That one, I ended up turning that into a popsicle stick quad. I mean, I built this awesome. It's actually quite a good frame. This frame out of popsicle sticks and foam and packing tape and hot glue, and I mounted the motors on there. And then eventually the motors, some of the motors went bad or they got damaged or something, and so I swapped them out for some other motors. And so I ended up using like a very different sizes of motors on there, and they still worked. They still worked okay. In fact, I took the motor bell of another like 1104 motor and put it on. I think it was also an 1104 motor, and it seemed to work fine. But that's another good question. It's like mixing motor sizes with motor KV. I don't know. I would love to see some actual like research on that, because I'm not really the guy to really do that. I mean, as far as the bench testing and that sort of stuff, I think somebody who's more inclined to the details would probably be really good for that. But that's a good question, though. Rob Whitelaw asks, is noob status before your first flight that epically crashes, or because of the epic crash? That's a good question. No, yeah, your noob status is definitely before your first flight. Yes, because after your first flight, you have experience. So, I mean, I guess you're still a noob, but I mean, I'm still a noob with some stuff. But that's a funny question. Jumpan asks, probably Jumpan asks, how can I update my TGY or Turnigy, I believe, i6S to the newest firmware? I can't figure it out since I cannot find any file. I have updated it to a newer FlySky i6S firmware, but there is not more than one mix still. I am looking for 4 or 3 mixes so that I can differential thrust so I can get my differential thrust to work on my airplane. First of all, that's interesting that you can, because the Turnigy basically rebranded FlySky, or vice versa. I'm pretty sure the Turnigy transmitters are a rebrand of the FlySky stuff. So anyway, they're basically the same. If is my keyboard gonna work? Oh, cool. Turnigy i6S. Just to take a look at this here, if it's even here. Nah, they don't have it. Okay, never mind. Anywho, so yeah, I don't know. Like if you've already tried to update the i6S, if you've updated it with the FlySky i6S firmware, and it still doesn't work, I don't know. I don't really know what you could do, because otherwise it getting the update for the firmware is actually quite simple. And I mean, did you get the update for the very latest? It sounds like you did, but the very latest firmware, if here on the FlySky website, if we go to the support, support, and then frequently asked question page, we can go down here to where it says, where can I download the latest firmware? You can download it from the official website product page or download it from GitHub. And we'll take this link right here. And GitHub is like where you can get like a bunch of different types of files, like Betaflight files and all sorts of different stuff. You'll probably use this website quite a bit when you're in the quadcopter world. So here we go. So transmitter, you click on transmitter, and then all these different versions. And then here we have the i6S. And then we have the, the user manual, the quick start guide, the firmware. And this is the firmware that I have currently, which is 2.0.0.68. And so in the FlySky i6S series that I'm doing right now, that is the firmware that I have. So if you have that firmware and it's not showing up, I'm not sure what to do. That sounds like a weird little glitchy bug thing going on with that. So sorry I couldn't be more helpful there. Okay, people in the chat. I'm jumping over to people in the chat here. Bad for Life says 3D printing sticks for a PS4 controller works decent for Sim 2. Okay, that's good to know. Sean says he adjusted the pitch, I guess, on the motor, and he's going to go fly later today. So cool. Let us know how that goes, Sean. Reese asked, when is your next live stream? Why don't we say, barring some sort of natural or man-made disaster, let's say next Friday. How about next Friday? Does that work for everybody? We could do the same thing, like 10 a.m. to apparently 1, because it's 1 now. It's supposed to stop at 12, but I got carried away because I talk a lot, as you've probably noticed. And my voice is starting to leave me, so we're going to have to stop pretty soon for realsies. But I appreciate the question. Thank you for asking. Charles C says 3-inch RDQ Raptor with the Rush stack. Love the little monster. So that would be a suggestion for a 3-inch quadcopter. Let me see if I understand your question. Okay, Prasanna MG says coaxial system of drones are a disadvantage due to decreased efficiency. Can this be overcome by using different propellers on the coaxial system? Whoa, technical jargon. Another question is, are there different types of props that are being used based on radial flow of air or axial flow of air? And which is better? What would be the outcome if I mixed these on a coaxial system? Well, Prasanna, I'm glad you asked. Also, I kind of have no idea. I'm not sure because the coaxial, yeah, I'd have to. I'm not quite sure if I understand what you mean by coaxial and radial flow and that sort of thing. But you ask which is better, what would be the outcome if I mixed these on a coaxial system? I'm not sure. I would say, give it a try. Disclaimer, don't hurt yourself. Don't sue me, but I would give it a try and see what happens and let us know. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. Let me see if I have just a couple more questions here that you guys left in the comments, because I appreciate you leaving those, and I want to make sure I answer them. Quest Plays says, my drone does not have any video, and I already replaced the camera and VTX and did not make the antenna fault. Can it be my goggles? It sounds like what you're saying is, so replace the camera, replace the video transmitter, and it sounds like you're saying that the antenna's good. Could it be your goggles? So do not have any video. So if you have no video at all, I guess the obvious thing would be something doesn't have power. Either your goggles don't have power or your video transmitter doesn't have power. But it's probably easy to tell if that's the case. Or, well, yeah, I mean, I guess I was going to say you might have static, but it depends on your screen. On either one. Probably on your goggles you would just have static. you do need to make sure that you are on the correct frequency. So you need to, well, one thing, make sure you're on the correct frequency. And I guess using auto scan, if you can use auto scan on your goggles, some people are like, oh, that's cheating, or it's just not as good as selecting the actual frequency. But I find that it's just really handy sometimes. So if you do auto scan, that might help you find the correct frequency. Also, you want to make sure that you are on the correct, what do they call it? Like the video, like NTSC or PAL. Yeah, so you want to make sure you're on the correct video. What's that called? Like protocol or not? Or it's, I can't think of the word, but there's PAL and NTSC. Your camera. Your camera and your goggles need to match basically for that. So that could be why that's happening. Let's see what else we have here. Another question from Mathis. He says, how do you know which motor size will fit on my frame? I don't know what kind of frame you have, first of all. But generally, I think usually with frames, like if we look at this somewhere, where'd it go? Oh, I don't know. We lost it. Well, anywho, if you look at frames, usually it will say on the frame like what size motor it accommodates or like the hole spacing. The internet's being weird, so I don't have a good example right here, but let's look at just like a frame. Well, okay, so here's one thing is if you search like on Race Day Quads, you can look through the different frames for like 3-inch frames, 4-inch frames, 5-inch frames, etc. So like if we look at these, let's say let's just look at the Race Day Quads 5-inch frames here. And you can see, let's click on this one. And let's see what it says here. Okay, so here it says the arms are thick, 3 millimeters thick, and they support 11XX to 14XX sized motors. So what they're saying there is like it could be a like 1104, 1105, 1106, or a 14. I guess 14. Well, so basically what they're saying is that the 11 is going to be, unless I have this backwards. I don't think I have this backwards. But anyway, they're talking about the size of the motor, how the motors are sized. And so the 11 to the 14, they're basically saying like the diameter sort of the motor is essentially what they're saying there. So they're talking about from that hole to that hole, it will accommodate motors from 11 something to 14 something sized motors. So that is one way of being able to know. And then sometimes you can actually get the diagonal measurements for that. Also, another thing is usually these are cut because they can use in order to accommodate different size motors. These are usually cut in such a way that it's not a perfectly round hole, so you do have a little bit of wiggle room, like forward and backwards. So you can make an adjustment of a few millimeters for the distance, like shorter or closer. So very clever, very clever. Instead of just having a perfectly sized hole. Sean, I'm reading Sean's comment on here. Sean says, do you recommend the FlySky i4 or should I go for the i6? I have some RC planes, but don't have a good transmitter for them, and my RC plane keeps pitching down. Oh, that was the one I read. Okay, so you're asking about the i4 or the i6. Go with the i6 or the i6X. Again, if you're going to go with the i6, you probably should just go with the i6X, but definitely not the i4 because the i4 is like old, and I'm pretty sure you can't do very much with it. Also, I believe it's just 4-channel. I'm losing my voice now. Okay. All right. Let's see. I want to make sure I got all these. I think so. I think I did. So we covered a lot of stuff. And yeah, if you're watching this live, that's awesome. And if you're watching this later, that's great too. Leave me a comment. I mean, shoot, we've been going for like almost 3 hours now. So if you've watched this far and it's not live, that's pretty amazing. But if you have any more questions about RC beginner stuff and how to get into the RC hobby, or specific questions about things, quadcopters or airplanes, leave them in the comments down below. And when we do this again, which will be hopefully next Friday, then I'll be able to answer them live as well. So I hope this has been helpful to everybody. And thanks for joining me. Two more. Aryan Kumar asks, which FPV is more suitable in low light, CCD or CMOS? I don't really know. Again, it's just that's one little aspect I've not been keeping up on, and I knew at one point, but then I think I forgot. Yeah, I really don't remember. Whatever is used in the RunCam Owl. I think it's the RunCam Owl that's like super good night vision capability. My guess is that is what would be best for low light. But sorry, I don't have a better answer for you there. JRB. Oh, okay. I think I don't know if JRB is answering to another question or is asking me this question, but set VTX up in Betaflight to turn on VTX if using smart audio. I think he's saying if you're I'm not sure what he's saying as far as how to do that or not, but there are some videos out there. I don't know if I have one. There are some videos out there though that will show you how to do that. Real quick, Reese asks, this is not really relevant, but how are your videos? Clear. Mine upload and they are blurry, but I shoot in 4K. I don't know. You mean like the normal videos, like the normal recorded videos? I don't know. Maybe the upload settings are different. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't have a good answer for you there. Maybe your camera's out of focus. I don't know. That could be. And let's see. Cornelis Vermazen says, hi, Adam. When are you putting more videos about the Zenith plane? Zenith viewer. Hello. So if anybody doesn't know, I do have another YouTube channel that I have kind of temporarily abandoned. I've sort of taken a sort of a sabbatical from that YouTube channel. It's called Jeff and Adam Build a Zenith, and it's about the airplane that I am building with my dad. And so when am I going to put more videos up on that? I don't know. It's honestly, it's not very high on the priority list right now. Right now I'm focusing on RC with Adam stuff. And then, but actually this coming month, I'm going to be working a lot on the airplane. So the idea is that I'm going to be working really hard to get a bunch of videos for you guys, for the RC with Adam crowd. So that way I will have time in July to work on the airplane and, maybe, hopefully, get some videos up, some video of the Zenith build and edit them and upload them and all that sort of stuff. So like I said, but it just hasn't been super high on the priority. I think I have one actually. I need to upload it and get that out to you guys. So we're still working on it. It's just going kind of slow. Things happen, life happens, but we're going to be getting back on it and then getting that finished up. I think this summer. I don't know, but I'll tell you what though, it's a huge undertaking. Like, it is, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, like mentally and physically and stuff. So, it's kind of no wonder that it's taking as long as it is, especially trying to film everything as well. So I kind of got burnt out on trying to do that because it was like just too much. Anyway, to answer your question, sometime soon. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And I will stream with you again very soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.